This video will cover the assembly and placement of the accordion side pieces. You will need 2 pieces pattern piece F fusible stabilizer and 4 pieces of pattern E cut in fabric. Now what you're going to want to do is fold over right sides together each of these 4 fabric accordion pieces, and you want to lay them on your table with your folds to the center and the top curves up. What you want to do is lay then a ruler down on top of the raw side of the 4 accordion pieces and draw a line at 1/4 of an inch. Now this line on all 4 pieces on the same side that is facing up. Now this line is to reduce the bulk when you are stitching your accordion pieces to your credit card area. And that's really important because I want this to be available for domestic machines as well as industrials. So what you're going to now do is you're going to trim off that spot, the 1/4 inch line on all 4 pieces. And what you're doing is you're exposing the right side of the inside of that accordion piece. And then the last one. Okay, place them back down exactly like you had them. So what you want to do is you want to have the folds to the center like I've got, and you want to see the right side of the accordion side piece, and you want to see where you have cut away your 1/4 of an inch. Now you're going to go to the sewing machine and you're going to sew across the top piece and across the bottom, the curve at the top and the curve at the bottom, and you're going to sew this at 3/8 of an inch, and it's scant 3/8, so you want to be just right on the 3/8 or just a little bit shy. You want to start at your cut line, and then you want to back stitch because you're going to be turning these inside out and you don't want this to come apart. Go right across and back stitch to the other side. Now I've gone ahead and done 4 pieces already so that you can see exactly what they look like. You can see I've done the stitch across the bottom and a stitch over the top, and you want to keep them lined up exactly as you had before, where you have exposed the right side of the credit card or of the accordion piece. You're now going to want to retrieve the 2 pieces of fabric, fusible fabric stabilizer, and you're going to fold these pieces in half and create a fold. Now what you want to do is place an F on either side, get a pen that works here, on either side of that fold line. I'll do the other piece so that it identifies where that edge is going to be placed on the accordion pieces. So you want to cut that in half, straight a line as you possibly can, and then the other piece. Now the reason you're doing this is because there is glue to the one side of this fusible stabilizer, and this ensures that you are cutting each piece correctly so that when you fuse it down to the pieces of the accordion, you're going to get them right. So I'm just going to set those over here to the side. And what you want to do is you want to flip these pieces to the other side. You want to fuse the stabilizer to the side that has not been trimmed. So what we're going to do is we're just going to flip these over like so, and then you're going to, and we don't have to line them up again, but you're going to fuse the stabilizer with the F to that folded side. Now if you feel you want to keep everything in place and in line, you can go ahead and replace them back down the way you would need to have them. So we're going to lay the F along that fold line, and we're going to fuse each of the pieces of the fusible stabilizer to that side of the accordion. This just keeps everything together, and you're not making multitudes of one side or multitudes of the other side. So you've gone ahead and you've fused these now. We're going to trim back the seam allowance on each of the pieces. So we're just going to trim back about 1/4 inch off of each of the pieces. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim the rest of them, and then we'll come back. Now that you have trimmed all 4 pieces at the upper curve and the lower curve, you need to turn them inside out. Now remember, you have back stitched right here, so that you should not have any separation of the stitch line, and if you do, you're just going to have to go back and re-stitch that area. Now as you're turning these around, you will notice that you may end up having to push out the corners a little bit right here. I generally use a pen or a pencil, but be very gentle not to penetrate through the fabric, and I just force that corner out a little bit, just very, very, very gently. And then what I do is I press this piece in place, making sure the seams are nice and even, and that's the benefit of the fusible stabilizer, because it gives you a nice edge to work with. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn the other 4 pieces, and then I will show you how to place them against the credit card panel of the lining. Now I've gone ahead and turned all 4 accordion side pieces to the right side and given them a really, really good press. I've also placed a bit of glue between the layers to connect those 2 pieces together. We're going to be drawing, which I've done already, a line along that edge, that raw edge, 3/8 of an inch in from that raw edge. As you can see, there's a line drawn on all 4 pieces. Now when we place this pattern piece, which we have completed, the credit card, in between the 2, these 2 top pieces are right, so we're just going to split them aside, but these 2 need to be turned the other way. So what you want to do is you want to take the larger of the curve and bring it to the bottom side with the fold out, and same as this piece right here. You want to get your piece that you have already done and kind of lay that down in preparation for gluing these accordion pieces to your back credit card piece. I'm just going to split them a little bit more so that you can actually see the placement. So on this credit card piece, you will see the accordion pieces have at the top fold the larger curve and the raw edge to be slipped underneath, the large curve and the raw edge, and on this side you will have the large curve to the bottom right here that will slip right underneath, and this is the raw edge. So what we want to do is we want to take some glue and we want to add this glue to, you know, in between the 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. You can go right to that area if you wish on all 4 pieces. And we're going to be slipping these accordion pieces underneath the area where the credit card is, between here and here. That's why you're able to leave the edges of the credit card raw. Okay, so what you want to do is take your hand and bring up this corner. You're going to slide underneath that accordion piece so that this side of your credit card is aligned with the line that you have drawn right here, which is at 3/8 of an inch. Now the reason I've drawn this line is to keep everything very, very precise and even, so that you're not putting it in, you know, halfway or this way and not having it totally even. So this gives you a line to follow. So you're going to go ahead and slide that right underneath so that the edge of the credit card is aligned with that line. You're going to give it a bit of a press, and you're going to do the same with all 4 accordion pieces. Lift up that edge, slide that under, and align those pieces together, and again on the last one over here. Now you should have each of these pieces, these edges, aligned with the edges of the ends of your credit card area. So what you're wanting to do now is you're going to let that sit and dry for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some glue to this area, fold it over and clip. Now that this has dried, you're going to have to add some fabric glue into the corners of where the accordion side pieces have connected to the credit card. So you want to just add a little bit of glue. When you fold this over, this holds everything in place so that it gives double security with both your stitching as well as the glue. So you want to hold down, but I mean, this has been dried, so you really don't have to worry if you've left it well enough. If you're impatient and have left that glue still wet to the back side, you want to kind of press on this a bit. So you're going to bring this piece around so that it is nicely folded along the edge of the credit card piece. You're going to clip this in place, and you're going to let that dry, probably for about 10 minutes. Same as this side and all 4 sides. You're going to bring them around and you're going to clip them in place. Use your finger to give yourself a nice pressing there if you wish. Oops, guy's jumping right out at me. Now you're going to notice also that each of these pieces, the accordion pieces, should be exactly in the same spot as your credit card pieces. So everything will be nicely lined up when you go ahead and stitch. So now that all 4 pieces are done and clipped in place, you're going to set that aside and let it dry. When we come back, you're going to be stitching down from the top curve to the bottom curve at 3/8 of an inch on all 4 sides to secure everything, but that will happen once this is dried. So this is what your finished interior is going to look like before we put the zipper pouch in. And you notice that once this has dried and I've removed the clips, I've gone ahead and done the stitching. So I've started at the longer curve, and I've started at the top, back stitched, and continued down that side and back stitched at the lower curve. I stitched 3/8 of an inch from this outside edge in, and I've done that on all 4 sides. Now you might have a bit of threads or raw edges coming from the back piece right here, from where you trimmed back your 1/4 of an inch to lessen the bulk. So what you can do is put a little bit of glue there, fray check, and just kind of blend that to the back, as it's not really going anywhere anyway once we attach the interior to the exterior. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the next video, which is the interior zippered pouch, and after that we're going to be assembling it all together.